So here's some news stories. I know nothing about sports, but I heard this on the podcast today, and this is pretty amazing. This guy, Brian Flores, who was a coach in Florida, got fired after winning like almost all of the games with what they thought was a losing team, and he has started a lawsuit claiming the reason they fired him is because he won. He said he was told he would get $100,000 per loss to tank his first season, and they were paying him to lose, which would mean that the NFL is a rigged game like pro wrestling, and all the people gambling on it and caring about it and buying the jerseys. I have friends that are sports fans, and it's like religion. Their whole life is quoting statistics and everything, and I think they will be very, very upset to hear that it's a rigged game with people being paid to throw the games. So that's why this caught my attention. Even though I know nothing about sports, that's going to be a problem. So Google has Google Office, the equivalent of Microsoft Office in the cloud, and they have now turned on something called it Google Workspace, and now they will give you a free version. And the free version does not include Gmail. They expect you to log in from your company account, and that's why the headline calls this Shadow IT. They say if your company doesn't give you like the cloud services you want to work on your company documents, you can just sign up with your company email. And they're saying this is basically a way to blackmail companies into paying for the pay service. Because if your company doesn't purchase the pay service, they will have no way to stop employees from individually signing up for the free service. And this is what's called data sprawl. We're going to talk about it later in the lecture. One fundamental question in the world of security is to just ask somebody, where is your data? Where physically location is it? What servers is it on? What backup tapes is it on? Do you even know? And the answer is typically, we don't know. It's on our servers, it's on the iPhones, it's on people's Dropboxes, it's in their home machine, it's just copies of it are just all over the place. So how are you supposed to protect it from getting lost when you don't even know where it's going? And this is yet another, that's why they call it Shadow IT, is when people use services without even telling your IT department, so they don't have any chance to secure it. Anyway, here's another thing I know absolutely nothing about, is television shows. I discarded my TV 20 or 30 years ago. Apparently there is some show where masked people sing, and you guess who they are. And apparently Rudy Giuliani was singing, and this upset them so much that the judges walked off the set. So I cannot judge this very much. It just surprises me that Rudy Giuliani is that unpopular. But anyway, that's causing a stir. So San Francisco has had a long-standing battle with PG&E, although I can't really understand it. They claim that PG&E is not providing service on time and it's holding up all sorts of important projects. PG&E claims that San Francisco is trying not to pay a fair price for all these services. And so anyway, what they're talking about is making a separate power station just for San Francisco, not part of PG&E. And that strikes me as a terrible idea. I'm thinking about Texas. Texas did that. They made their own power station, and as you know, hundreds of people died last winter because they were not up to the code. They were not up to the weatherizing code of the real power grid in America or connected to the real power grid in America. So their stuff was not very good, and they couldn't get the real stuff as a backup. So I don't know if San Francisco really wants to run their own power station instead of being connected to PG&E, but we'll see what happens. So this is two stories that go together and kind of amazed me. I've often said cryptocurrency is an insane investment because it goes up and down so much. It's incredibly volatile. And, but you get used to that. Anyway, but the point is, the real stocks have done this. This is the biggest drop in all of Wall Street history. Facebook dropped by like 25% in 1 hour because they published an earnings projection and said they're not going to make as much money as expected, and the total number of users of Facebook went down for the first time ever. And Facebook is pivoting, renaming themselves Meta. They're jumping with both feet into the metaverse, and a lot of people are very concerned and think that's a mistake and it's not going to make them any money. So it's pretty awesome. Facebook, you don't normally hear of any stock going down 25% in a day. That's nuts. And Snap, aren't there programmed stops for stuff like this? Well, individual traders typically have programmed sell orders, like if it drops 10%, then sell to cut my losses. But there's nothing to stop the stock from going as far as it wants to go, I think. There was a big issue of the whole stock market crashing about 15 years ago because of the free advent of programmed trading, and they actually canceled a couple of days of stock market and had a do-over for that. But this isn't the whole stock market crashing because of like a computer glitch, essentially what that was. This is a powerful stock going down for a real reason. Their real earnings are less than expected. So I don't think they will take action at the level of the stock market as a whole to stop this or undo it. It does not reflect a failure of the stock market. It's the stock market accurately determining the price people actually want to pay for it. What's shocking is that a company that is so highly valued as Facebook would fall so fast. And this Snap, I don't quite know what Snap does, and they don't tell you here. They assume you know. Maybe there's Snapchat, I don't really know. But anyway, they also fell by like 24%, but then went up by 62%. So I'm just amazed at the volatility. This is the kind of madness that I expect from Bitcoin and Ethereum, and normal stocks are not supposed to jerk around by these insane amounts. So the stock market is very unstable. Doesn't Snap own Snapchat? Well, I'm thinking maybe they do. This article doesn't tell you because they assume you know. Anyway, so here's the joy of cryptocurrency, NFTs, which are on the blockchain, essentially a form of cryptocurrency. People tell me Snap doesn't own Snapchat. That's good. So they've made a game called Blockverse to be connected to Minecraft. And then they got a bunch of people to invest money until they had $1 million. And then they shut it all down and vanished. And this is what's called a rug pull. It happens all the time in the cryptocurrency space. It's a very common form of theft. But then they came back and they said, we didn't steal the money. We just shut down the communication channels because you people were complaining too much and hurting our feelings. And we're not going to give the money back until you start being nicer to us. So this is one of these strange things that happens in the blockchain space. This reminds me of the one that happened a couple months ago where somebody stole $660 million and then just gave it back. This stuff happens in the cryptocurrency space that is just mind-boggling. It's like you have a bunch of like socially awkward teenagers with no sense of business throwing around vast quantities of money just doing random stupid things. When Yahoo came out, the established business community said Yahoo was incredibly childish and stupid, but the cryptocurrency space has taken it to a whole new level of childish and stupid and throwing around money like it means nothing. The hedge funds are losing billions from the naked shorting. Well, yeah, that was, I don't know if that's still happening, but that was a big deal a month or two ago when they had the short squeeze. Yeah. So this is something, I thought it was funny. I think this was during the last presidential election. The Republicans said the Democrats are going to take away your hamburgers. I think it was people in Texas saying that, like Ted Cruz and Biden, and everybody said, no, we're not going to take away your hamburgers. But, you know, this Berkeley scientist and some other people said, well, you know, if you actually did stop making meat, how much would that help? And the answer is it would help a whole lot. If you took all the fields being used for meat and returned them back to like forest or growing normal crops, you'd save a whole lot of CO2. So, you know, it's an option. I don't think very many people in America are willing to give up their hamburgers, but according to their calculation, if we would just quit raising meat, it would really help the climate crisis a lot. So now it's up to some politician to find some way to sell that to a group of people that don't want to hear it. Anyway, I think that's enough for the news. I'm going to stop this one.